I'll be honest, I just can't stop myself from doing more recordings, so we're just going to keep on. This time we're going to be talking about Zacian. Oh, you can barely see that with the glare. Can I, do this? Does that make it any better? Kind of, actually. That's not bad. Should have done that 2 videos ago, but yeah, here we are. Zacian EX. Now, there are 2 different general decks that are being run with the... Not N, why am I saying N? Hop's Zacian. There are multiple decks being run with Hop's Pokemon. I'm going to be talking about a more... I'm not going to say that this is better. I think this is a very fast deck, but it's also probably, it runs out of steam. That's not entirely true. It doesn't run out of steam. It underperforms compared to other decks the longer that the game goes on. So you really want the game to end quickly with this deck. You can easily donk your opponent on turn 1 going second, but if they get set up, you're really just going to be kind of treading water. At least that's what I've found. Anyways, we got Hop Zacian EX. The main thing, actually the only attack that we're going to be using this deck is Insta-Strike, which does 30 damage and also 30 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Fairly whatever sounding, right? We're running 3 Iron Valiant EXs, which have an ability called Tachyon Bits. Once during your turn, when this Pokemon moves from the bench to the active spot, you may put 2 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon, allowing us to do a little bit more chip damage to stuff. Hop Snorlax has an ability called Extra Helpings, which basically just says that your Hop's Pokemon do 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. And it doesn't stack. So it's a one Snorlax on your bench makes that happen, which is very nice. Hop's Cramorant, 1 energy for 120 damage. If your opponent doesn't have 3 or 4 prize cards remaining exactly, it does nothing. So in the middle of the game, that can be very nice. We're throwing down Fez, Mew, Blood Moon, and Squawk. This deck, top cut 1 City League. I think that it needs a lot more refining in terms of the specifics, but I think that it's got some character, some moxie, if you will, and so I'm gonna just quickly talk about it anyways. So the basic idea with this deck is, if I can find this guy. So, Hop's Choice Band makes whatever it's attached to. If it's a Hop's Pokemon, do 30 more damage with its attached to the enemy active Pokemon. And Postwick is a stadium that makes attacks used by Hop's Pokemon do 30 more damage to the opponent's active Pokemon. Altogether, if you have all those things in play... Oh, also, sorry, Hop's Choice Band also makes the attacks cost 1 colorless energy less, which, in the case of Insta-Strike, makes it free. So, if you have all those things in play, if you have this on this guy, you got Postwick in play, and you have a Hop Snorlax on your bench, you are doing 120 damage to the active, and 30 more damage to your, 1 random bench Pokemon or whatever, right? Suddenly, it's, pretty significant. It's very comparable, actually, to the Darmanitan attack, but you don't have to discard energy to use it. It does less to the opponent's bench Pokemon, but it does more to their active. What else we got in here? We are running 4 copies of Surfer. Techno Radar, we're running 4 copies of, as well as Hop's Bag. Techno Radar allows us to find 2 future Pokemon, which we're going to use to find 2 Iron Valiants. And Hop's Bag allows us to find 2 Hop's Pokemon, which would be, depending on what you started with, probably a Zacian and a Snorlax. If you're in the middle of the game, maybe you're grabbing a Cramorant, but it's usually going to be a Zacian and a Snorlax. What else do we have in here? Switches. We run 4 switches. Basically, you really want to be moving your Iron Valiants around to do some chip to then, take good trades. And the same for Surfer. It's obviously a once per turn, but it also allows you to draw up to 5 after you use it, so you can kind of empty your hand, switch into a Iron Valiant, then switch back out. using Future Booster, which, by the way, we're running a Prime Catcher, allows us to switch again. Jet Energy allows us to switch again. Basic switches. Oh, it's over here. I don't know why I split this. Future Booster allows your Iron Valiants to have free retreat. Yeah, there's nothing insane in here. The basic strategy, it's kind of like the opposite of the hit and run deck that I was showing off with Escavalier, not Escavalier, what the heck is the other one? Excelgor. Where, you know, in that case you were trying to hit and then, you know, hide behind something. This one is you're trying to hit through to another Pokemon and kind of switch things around so you're just dealing increased damage using Tachyon bits. Like I said, I kind of played around with this at Casuals today, and against a Greninja deck of all things, it actually like completely just ran out of steam on me. Obviously Greninja's a stage 2, so it's harder to take down, but yeah, it would have been 3 attacks to take down a Greninja. And it'll be the same for, you know, other stage 2s like Charizard and Dragapult. So the basic strategy against stuff like that would be get set up with this guy fast, do 120 damage, and I mean ideally do enough damage with Tachyon bits to take out like a Dreepy in the active and one on the bench, and maybe you then have a shot against Dragapult. In a best case scenario, they only have 2 and then you just win, but more realistically, that's not going to be the way that the game goes most of the time. But yeah, cool little idea for a deck. The other way people are running Hop Zacian is with Arcaludon, or Caludon. I don't know how people are actually pronouncing it. It's very interesting as well. It kind of probably works better, if we're being honest, because it allows you to use Brave Slash for 240, but then if you increase that by 30 and 30, it does 330, which is enough to take out all the other EXs in the game. Granted, it's a lot to kind of commit to make that happen, but yeah, cool deck, cool stuff. Don't know if I'd recommend building this version of it, at least not yet. It's similar to some of the other stuff that I've shown off, where I would say it needs a little bit of the kinks ironed out to really shine. Don't think it's bad by any means, but I think it's just really interesting. So anyways, if you liked that, you know, leave a like. If you have anything, you know, communicate to me. If you know, if you have any questions or if you want to tell me something, leave a comment. And if you really like the video, subscribe. Otherwise, I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching.